passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Mileham in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, look at the toss! They haven't got it!
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it! Big Barry! Good evening and welcome back to the JPB GT4 Championship live from the Circuit of Americas. I am James Parfitt, going to be joined in the booth by the one, the only Mr. Callum Mileham, who's going to be here this evening guiding us through all of this action. And well, what an evening of action it is going to be. The track itself is known as COTA. 3.426 miles, 5.513 kilometers, and has currently got 20 turns on track. It's got lefts, it's got rights, it's got hairpins, it's got everything. It's got drivers moaning. It has got the full bore here this week already, and what an evening that we are expecting. Don't forget, guys, we have got we got a 15-minute race, and then we have got the sprint, the 45-minute feature race with a pit stop. Okay, so don't forget that, because it is vitally important. Quali, 10 minutes, Heat 1, 15, Heat 2, 45 with a pit stop. So that is going to really throw things out there for these drivers. So let's have a quick look at the Drivers' Championships at the moment. In the pro standings, we have got Mark Fletcher from Altitude Esports out in front, with Arthur Ferdal in second, Alan McCain third, Adam Hedgecock fourth, Mirko Ficanto in fifth, Dan Babbage sixth, Jordan Malcolm seventh, Arnold Chagnon eighth, Ryan Dudley ninth, Chris Needham in 10th, Kevin Iglone in 11th, Tom Weston 12th, Ryan Burgess 13th, Marnik Heister 14th, and Torno Oromets in 15th. And then there's no points on the board for the others at the bottom of the list. In the AMS, we got Derek Crowther in pole position, with Jack Werrell in second. Only 2 points back, mind you. Stuart Gibbons in third, Fausto Pinto in fourth, Martin Sampson fifth, Mark Werrell sixth, Danny Weston in seventh, Roy Verbeek in 8th, Roger Morton 9th, Stuart Rice in 10th, Jason Haddington 11th, Stephen Mellis 12th, Damien Hurst 13th, Rob Williams 14th, Chris Barnes 15th, Jamie Dengle 16th, Kevin Randall in 17th, and Christopher Evans is at the end in 18th place at this moment in time. In the team championships, is Altitude Esports out in front with Team SRL, then Air Smart Racing, Project 88, Sim Racing Community, No Pace Racing, Mag Performance, and the Platinum Racing team behind that. In the AM Team Championship, we've got Sim Racing Community at the top, with Blade Design, Squadra di Corse Veloce in third, No Pace Racing fourth, Air Smart Racing 2 in fifth, Triple P Porsche in sixth, Optical seventh, Team Zilab Racing 8th, and Triple P Vantage in 9th. Well, I think you've listened to me waffle on more than enough. Let's bring in Callum Mileham into the booth as well here this evening. Callum, welcome in. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Really looking forward to tonight, and I have to admit, you've done the intro perfectly, really spot on, because that sort of got my energy levels up a bit, and yeah, I don't know if I'm quite prepared for this today. This is the first time me actually being at this track as well. It was a very last minute situation in getting my hands on the track today, so I'm really looking forward to seeing all the cars in action on this track, and it looks very wide as well, so I think we're in for some exciting times with these cars going 2, 3, who knows, maybe even 4 wide into some of these corners. Some risky turns in there, and also some corners where I think we might see some good side-by-side action, well, throughout majority of the lap, I reckon, around this track. But yeah, all in all, looking forward to tonight. Obviously, we know there's big characteristics in these drivers and cars, as we always touch over, so yeah, let's just let's get this underway, and let's get these tyres burning.
Absolutely here as well. Don't forget this evening is sponsored by the sim racing community. You can go and check them out. All links down in the description. All your sim racing needs in with your news, views and forums at simracingcommunity.com. So big shout out to them guys as well. Of course, Tom Weston and also Fausto is in the team for the sim racing community. Now, people have not been loving this circuit, Mr. Mileham. I've heard various reports of understeery cars don't want to turn. I can't think of one description of the track, and I'm possibly not going to be able to read it out on the broadcast when I figure out what it will actually say. It actually says it's like each corner has an invisible camber which slides you off the circuit of planet Earth. I was sure I was understeering when I was parked in the pits. So there we go. Not a circuit that they're loving, is it?
No, that's a very strong opinion, that is, and yeah, I think it's interesting. I've seen some very fast cars go around this track, obviously having high downforce, and whilst one thing these GT4s don't really have much of is the extreme downforce and the high power sort of management throughout the car. So it will be interesting. And the GT4s, I had a little go in a BMW GT4 with a couple of the boys from my racing team, Nürburg, in actual fact, just testing it out. And I noticed the car does like to slide a lot more compared to what I'm used to. Like with the, obviously Formula 3s, we know they have a lot of downforce. GT3s as well, there's a big difference there. So yeah, I can see where these drivers are coming from in terms of sliding around, but I feel like the track's wide enough where you could have a couple of slip-ups. Yeah, you may lose track position or two. Main thing is you're still on track, so aim for the finish.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's all about the finishing itself, and that's what they've got to really make sure they can do here. The track, some people love it, some people hate it. You know, we can see that from the differences of opinions. You know, let us know what you think in YouTube there as well. Oh, welcome in Phil, by the way, and Mr. Pete Newman, and that Gamer K, and Mr. John Brown, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. Gamer K puts, yeah, I'm good, thanks. Looking forward to the race. This track is not a favourite of mine. Well, seems to be a relative consensus here that it's not a favourite of certain drivers. What do you think of the track? Because as you say, high-speed downforce cars really suit this one. I'm not really sure, to be honest, between me and the admins who decided on this track. I've got to be honest. I've got a funny feeling I may have had an input on it. But I think it works. They can make it work, can't they?
I'm sure they can. Like I said, the track's a lot wider than some of the other ones we've seen. I mean, take the Mountain, for example. You know, it's not the easiest of tracks in the world. Yeah, there's enjoyment there. There's nostalgia about it as well. There's a big historical background with the track. You know, there's a lot of things to like about it, but it's a lot tighter than this, and there's a lot less room for error. Whereas here, I feel like the room for error is a bit bigger. It's a bit more lenient, should we say, when you have a mistake. Because obviously, look at the size of the track here, for example. Look how wide, how much space is on that track, how wide these drivers can actually go throughout these corners. So I think this encourages good battling, one. And then two, in situations like this in qualifying, there's space to move. I mean, look at the weaving of the McLaren just in front of Thurtle back there in the Aston Martin. So, I mean, you know, you can see them weaving side to side, but see how long it takes for them to weave on here compared to somewhere like Alton Park, for example, where the track width is just a lot wider. So I prefer wider tracks. So this is actually something that I'm really looking forward to. And I haven't driven on this track myself yet, but I would love the opportunity to drive on this track because of how wide it is. Because wide tracks is where I kind of thrive. I'm not the quickest in the world still, but I thrive much better on wider tracks like these.
Yeah, because there's more room for error, isn't there? We're into qualifying. These guys have got to obviously be fully aware that we are up and running in Quali, and they are out on track currently. We're on board here with, of course, Mr. Mark Fletcher, who is the leading championship leader at the moment as well. So at the end of the day, I think these guys will do well here. I think that there's a lot more, as you say, there's a lot more leniency with this circuit, you know, and at the end of the day, they've got to be aware of this. They've got to be that they are have got that wide area to make the most of, because they don't have to have that contact like we had sometimes at the mountain last time out.
No, exactly. And I think one thing we have to remember as well is, yes, in the short term of things, you know, for a 10 or 15 minute race, yeah, okay, maybe it's not the best track in the world. You know, you can't really, you know, things aren't as tight and close like, say, a 10, 15 minute race on the mountain. You know, that was enjoyable. It's just nothing but action all throughout. Maybe there will be a bit more space on this track, yes. But what they have to remember is there's a 45-minute race. It's going to include pit stops. It's going to spell carnage, but probably a bit less carnage because there's more space. And when it comes to overtaking a lapped car as well, this track is really going to suit that because you can see the width. And this camera angle is perfect at showing it on this corner here, because you can see you can really get over to one side and let a car pass super easily. Maybe even have two cars battling side by side. You can still easily get them past. Hell, James, I think we could both drive 2 tanks each and we'll get them past. So, I mean, there's plenty of room on this track. So I just think these drivers need to focus on what's coming up ahead and not worry too much about, you know, what the track is like and whether they like it or hate it. They just need to get their heads down and do it, because there's definitely going to be some pace out there tonight.
Yeah, there definitely is. And I think that's one of the things that they've got to look forward to here as well. The fact that they've got this wide area. They are going to be able to go too wide. They are going to be able to, at certain points of the evening, you know, muscle each other and fight for every little bit of track and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, that's what this track is able to provide for us. Yes, it's not everybody's cup of tea, and people aren't going to be sitting back thinking, oh, I really like this circuit, because it's not. You know, John Brown says it looks like somebody took every horrible corner from any track that has one and put them all together. Bit harsh.
See, I would say that about another track that a lot of people love. See, here's the thing. I detest Sebring. Big time. Hate it. Can't stand the track. Yet, when I know that there's a race involved, get your head down and just do it. I hate it because I don't like tracks like that where the corners are a bit blind, you know, whereas here they're obvious. You can see a wall dead ahead of you. You don't turn, you go and head first into a wall. Whereas at Sebring, there's not clear indication where some of the corners are. You've got maybe a couple of cones if you're lucky off to one side, or bollards or something, and that's it. So I have to admit, I don't like Sebring, but in that situation, when you know there's a race coming up ahead, it's just get your head down and do it, and you'll probably surprise yourself, which I reckon a lot of these drivers out here tonight will surprise themselves with some times they get, not only in qualifying but also race pace as well. I think there'll be a lot of surprises out there for a lot of these drivers, because it's all about balancing mindset. This seems to be a big thing for tonight, where these drivers are getting bogged down so much by the track choice. Is that going to take a toll on their race? And that's another thing that's really intriguing me about tonight, is which driver can keep composed and which driver can't in terms of race pace, qualifying pace. You know, which ones have it in them to sort of, okay, put their differences aside about the track and just put the foot down and go for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing is, they knew the calendar at the beginning of the season. They knew that the calendar was going to come to COTA. You know, they it's part and parcel of it, and that's where we're at the moment with it. You know, so I think for these guys, I don't think we've not surprised them with a random track. You know, they've signed up, they've seen the calendar, it's all there. We can, you know, that's what it is, we've been honest, and they've got to have to go for it. You know, some people like Arthur Ferdo at the moment who don't have any time at the board. He is coming around turn 13 into 14. He's got a little bit of loose end in that Aston. I'm not going to lie, to take a little bit of a slide there. This is going to be an interesting one if the man who's second in the championship doesn't end up getting onto the grid because he's got an off track somewhere.
Yeah, and I think off tracks here, I'm not too sure how strict or lenient they would be. I need to do a bit of research on that, but my question is, James, I'm not too sure if you'd have the answer to this or not, but you can see the green, I call it overlap, or green runoff area just behind the rumble strips. What about the red? Can they cut tyres into the red, or is that red for no-go?
That's a red for no-go. That will be an off-track. Anything basically with 4 wheels outside of the white line at the moment was an off-track. Now, iRacing did come out and say you can put two wheels over like Fert was doing there, but any further than that, you're going to get an off-track. Now, as we know, in multiple circuits, you know, that's completely different. The rules are different. You know, Red Bull is completely different to, say, for instance, Spa. Spa's a little bit stricter. Red Bull, well, you sneeze at Red Bull at a curb, sometimes you get an off track. So it really does depend on how these drivers want to drive this circuit. Now, I watched a NASCAR race from here, right? And I'm not going to lie. They drove on parts of the track that wasn't even on the track. And they were not getting off-track warnings. Like, they would come down to one of the hairpins down the bottom here where Arthur's just approaching. And they wouldn't worry that the curb was there. They would literally be driving up over the red, right over the red, and on they go. You know, and they didn't get it. So it really, regarding off tracks on a track, I think that's probably one of where the few points that we are let down with, because they don't always necessarily adhere to real life, right? We don't always get it. This is what we are wanting real life, but they don't always give it with the off track situation. So I think, to be fair, I don't know how hard it is here. Obviously, I've only ever driven COTA in an F1 game. So from my perspective, I can't give you how bad or how strict they are. But I'm guessing you don't really want to be trying to push out that far and try. Do you know what I mean? Just in case you do get an off track.
Yeah, no, I 100% understand where you're coming from with that. But, I mean, in terms of, you know, cutting these corners and trying to shave off as much time as possible, it looks like the majority of these drivers are all doing the same line and pushing it to the limit about the same amount. Because if we look at the timing table there in the top left corner of your screens, you can see that, yeah, Fletcher, you know, has some great pace, has throughout the season. But from sort of Malcolm in P2 to Needham in P16, there's not much in it. There's a couple of seconds at most. And, I mean, especially from 8th place to 16th, you know, that's 8 cars that are all 2:17. So there's not much in this race at all, which is more of a build-up just to get really hyped for this race that's really coming up, and the 45-minute as well, the feature race, which is just going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm loving this series and I'm loving the Clios, is because there's always somebody to be racing against. You're never literally on your own on a racetrack at the back of the racetrack, not fighting somebody. All of these guys, regarding it from the 22s, from 24th to Evans to 9th in Hedgecock, they're all going to be fighting around the order somewhere. But here we go, guys. This is it. The grid has come up for the 15-minute sprint race. And let's have a look and see what we are going to be looking at in form of grid-wise. We have got Mark Fletcher in first, Jordan Malcolm second, Arthur Thirdall third, Mirko Ficanto in fourth, Arnold Chagnon in fifth, Stuart Gibbons, the leading AM there in sixth, Ryan Dudley seventh, Alan McCain eighth, Adam Hedgecock ninth, Derek Carver 10th, Ryan Burgess 11th, and Jack Werrell is down in 13th. Then from that, you've got Kevin Delaunay, Dan Babbage, Tom Weston, Chris Needham, Torno Orometz, Rob Williams, Stuart Rice, Jamie Dengle, Roger Morton, Stefan Mellis, Jason Haddington, and Christopher Evans. Then on the back end from Chris Evans, you've got Andy Littler, Chris Barnes, Kevin Randall, and Damien Hurst all battling it out there as well. Don't forget, we have got a pace car, and the pace car will be in very, very shortly. And then we will be up and running once more, sir. Into the breach these drivers go for what plans to be 15 minutes at COTA. What more could we ask for?
Well, there's not really a lot more you can ask for on a, well, for all those that have been in the UK, a very sunny and very hot day. You know, this is a great way to finish your day. But I have to admit, we do a little bit of this before most of the races throughout the season. And I'm already going to go loud and proud with it. I'm putting my money back on Thurtle in the Martin.
Okay, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So heat one, you're going with Thurtle.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got faith in the consistency.
Thurtle. I might have to go Malcolm, I think. I think he's due. It's tough though, because Fletcher's Fletch, and at the end of the day, you know, he ain't slow.
Even if our picks don't win, it'll be interesting to see which pick finishes higher, because I know Malcolm and Thurtle's time were almost identical. So there's going to be an interesting battle between them two.
Yeah, well, we are underway. We are going here at COTA. All of these cars, all of this money on track currently at the moment here. And we have got this, well, about half a pace lap in conjunction, so we've got about a little bit of time to sit back, go and get some drinks, grab your popcorn if that's what you're going to do. Sit back, chill out. If I was for Canto, I would not follow Malcolm through because Malcolm's going to have to hit the brakes. So Fletcher is going to be sitting in second. He will be your lead car currently as well. Pro and Am separated by the green and orange lines under their names, guys, as well. I hope you can all see that. And they're also separated by decals on the car. If they have got green decals, they are obviously pros. Orange, they are obviously Am. But let's see. Coming round, turn 19. For this 15-minute, about 7 laps, if they're lucky, of racing to go. What do we reckon, Callum? Really quickly, what's going to happen turn 1?
Turn 1, 3 wide.
Okay. The problem
3
is,
wide, but they're going to keep it clean.
all right, here we go then. Mark Fletcher has gone already. He's come across the nose of Jordan Malcolm. We are going to be underway here at COTA. And it is Fletch out in front currently at the moment. Jordan Malcolm in second. He's already 4 tenths back. And we're not even into turn 1 yet. He's going in now. So many different lines that could be taken here as well. What's going to happen further back? Toro Oromets has got a massive gap behind them. Everybody coming in on the brakes there as well. They are going to all make it through cleanly, including Damien Hirst at the back. But it is Mark Fletcher out in front with Jordan Malcolm tucked up in second place there. And Cavanagh Launay behind that as well. Dan Babbage, unfortunately, looks like Vacanto has gone off here in the Mercedes, and he is dropping all the way down the order. Unfortunately for Mirko, he has gone down the order there and dropped down. Arthur Ferdle trying to stay up behind Jordan Malcolm at the moment. Everybody clean apart from Pincanto.
Yeah, not a bad race start at all for the entire grid. Unfortunate for Finn Canto, and hopefully he can pull it back. And if not, there's always a second feature race. But we're just on board here with him on the replay. It looks like he's got a bit too much curb, maybe on the gas a bit too early as well, and sent the car into a spin. And oh, that was very lucky. A couple of cars nearly being collected there. So lucky escape for those, really. It looks like there's already damage on the Porsche there, the Triple P Porsche. I think that is Barnes.
Yeah,
could be wrong.
Just gone past Haddington.
Yeah,
Looks like he's hit a post.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if this is actual damage or if this is maybe like a little technical hiccup within the iRacing scene at the minute, maybe with the amount of cars we have on track. I'm not too sure, but it's identical damage to what we saw last week.
It was, yeah, and Adam Hedgecock here trying to make his way through. Hedgecock down 6 places. So for Mr. Hedgecock, unfortunately, this is where he has been losing time. I don't know. Down in 28th there, unfortunately. There's been a pile up at the back. Jamie Dengle's involved in it as well. They're all trying to avoid him at the moment. What went on there with Jamie Dengle? Did this all on his own, was it? Or was there other people involved? Dengle here, and that's one of the Triple Ps behind him. Oh, he's gone up the inside of Hedgecock. Oh. Oh. Wow, what can we say about that?
Well, I mean, in the Jerez livery, it wasn't very safe for that company, I have to admit. But the good thing is he held his brakes and sat there until all the cars had passed, which is something that we always look out for, whether we're in the commentary booth or whether you're doing some stewarding on races. So nice to see that the brakes were being held there, and good avoidance from some of the cars. Some of them unfortunate because that's the line they had chosen prior to entering the corner. So a bit unfortunate, but luckily it wasn't, you know, maximum damage for the majority of the cars. So we've still got quite a few on the lead lap at the moment.
Yeah, we have everybody still out on track there as well. Jason Haddington is in the pits, and Jamie Dengle is in the pits currently at the moment as well. Jack Werrell's battling away here with Dan Babbage. He's looking up the inside. There's going to be a little bit of door rubbing. Babbage is on the right-hand side for Project 88. Jack Werrell, Squad Joe! What went on there? I'm not going to lie, that BMW already looked out of shape. So they've had contact here. Babbage is at the... Oh. And then the GT4 was there as well. I think that was Ryan Burgess. And if that was Ryan Burgess, both Project 88 cars involved in that one incident there, Callum. Have we lost Callum? Callum?
That's okay. I fixed it. Slight hiccup. I fixed it. But yeah, I was, mate. It must be the heat. It must be the heat. My microphone just completely went. But no, I was watching the incident, and I was trying to look at maybe who turned in. It was weird. It looked like Dan Babbage had tried to almost look up the inside of his own teammate onto that corner. So bit of a strange last minute decision and turning in there. But yeah, I have to admit the back end does look a bit slidey on the Beamer this week on the race so far, from what I've seen. Compared to, you said that Arthur Thurl was having a bit of problems in the a few little drifts in the Aston Martin, but we saw it in the BMW as well around the mountain. It's very back end slidey and very back end happy, and I have to admit I felt it when I tested the thing out on the Nürburgring as well. So it's going to be interesting seeing the battles, as you can see these BMWs going too wide, and look, you can see the space on the track. Look how much respect they were giving each other right up until the apex of the corner. You could fit 2 double-decker buses in between those two.
Yeah, Kevin Delaunay and also Derek Craver battling away there, and we're going to have to see how these guys get on for the rest of this race. It's going to be an exciting one, and that is what is going on down in the bottom right hand corner as well, who we are focusing on with Dan Babbage, Ryan Burgess, unfortunately both getting involved in a collision with Jack Werrell. I'm sure there probably might be a little bit of a conversation between them regarding the fact that Jack ran in deep. I think he hit Burgess. Burgess then went, unfortunately, hit into his Babbage, and then his teammate was there as well. So unfortunately for him, it looked a bit of a rough one. But Derek Craver, China and Cabernet Launay here, Pro and Am. Stuart Gibbons is doing an absolutely stellar job up front at the moment in the Am class here, and he is kind of staying in contact with the guys in front. Got Alan McCain behind him, not loving it at the moment either. But there's a good mix of Pro and Ams in the field here.
There is. It's always nice to see a mixture of them, and yeah, some of the pros and some of the AMs don't like battling each other. They tend to let each other by, if they notice one or the other's quicker. But it's actually nice to see some of these guys battling it out, because yeah, okay, you're settled, you're separated in terms of pro and AM classes, but at the end of the day, you're still fighting for them points, aren't you? So especially when you're as high up as Stuart Gibbons, and yeah, I mean, it's good to see him as high as he is as well. It's nice to see him thriving up there. I remember racing Gibbons a couple of times on Clio's. Strong driver, that man, very strong.
Yeah. You're not getting. How do you like the Clios?
The car is a bit tricky to get your head around with, with the lack of ABS. It's very sensitive. I feel it's almost Formula 3 kind of sensitive. It's like one of them open wheel cars. You've really got to be careful of lockups. But overall, not too bad. But I struggle to keep the wheels straight on long distance straights in that car. I can never seem to keep the car perfectly straight like I can, a GT car or anything like that. It's probably because of the toe or the camber or something that's on the vehicle. But overall, they're quite nice, and I have to admit they're really good racing, because it's always tight. I couldn't get my head around the car fully in the end, so I only managed to do about sort of nine-ish rounds of the Clio, 8 or 9 rounds I think of the Clio before. But I have to admit I do kind of miss it in a way. It is a very fun car to drive, and it's quite big in the UK, so what's not to love about it?
Yeah, Dan Babbage has just cleared Tom Weston here as well. Arnold Charnier battling up front with Ryan Dudley. Dudley in here with Stuart Gibbons behind him, about 2.8 seconds at the moment. Chris Needham from Air Smart Racing is up 3 places, got himself into 13th as well. Don't forget the finishing positions of this one sets the grid for the feature, okay? So don't forget that. And unfortunately for Dan Babbage, it looks like he has got some internet issues going on there as well, as he is blinking around a little bit. But we'll keep an eye on it. Jordan Malcolm is still on track. Arthur Ferdal still in 3rd. Mark Fletcher still out in front. I was surprised Fletcher isn't going to message me after this. He'd be like, why did you not pick me to win? Because he did definitely look like he was going to win, but maybe we went a little bit apprehensive there.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, Fletch has got the pace and has had the pace throughout the season so far, but it's just nice to back different drivers,
Oromets went in deep. Sorry there, but Oromets went in so deep, he's allowed Chris Needham to go back through. Still trying to fight back in that BMW though. He's trying to take that inside line. There is space there. There's enough space on this circuit for everybody. Ryan Burgess is trying to come through as well. Oh, he's got his nose up long now as they're going on that run round to 16. Not very long at all, but Ryan Burgess is obviously out of position currently, down 4 places with the incident earlier on, and so is this man, Mr. Hedgecock. Hedgecock's trying to clear Damien Hirst. He's trying to throw the car up every which way bar Sunday, and now manages to get through on the entrance into turn 15. So Adam Hedgecock gains another position. It's going to be... Oh! Damien Hirst, where did you go? And how did you end up there? Very, very bizarre. I'm not going to lie from Damien Hirst there.
I wonder if you saw him blinking a little bit there. I wonder if it was a case of, everything from his point of view was kind of freezing up, and that's when he maybe lost the vehicle a little bit once it froze up and then come back again, because I've had that a couple of times before. So just I think it's a bit unlucky with the connection.
Yeah, I think it might have been. There was an update out tonight as well from iRacing regarding damage model. There was also an update that have affected me. I could have done with this update on Saturday, to be honest, but they updated. Basically, there was an issue with blinking and on 12th gen and 13th gen Intel processors and a couple of new AMD processors. So they were putting out a patch that was hopefully should have resolved the issue. So that's what we've said, and hopefully from iRacing they have come out and basically dealt with the situation that was causing problems. So who knows? We'll have to see. But something to do with the Enquire loading optimization for 2023. 12th gen, 13th gen, AMD 7900s and AMD 7950s apparently. But basically all new processors, and the blinking was causing a problem. It was caused by basically everything being sent through one core on the processor, and it was just spiking the processor out like absolute crazy. As if you watched PEC, you would have seen on Saturday, because it happened on that.
Oh, well, there you go. You learn something new every day.
Oh, mate, you should watch it. Part of it, I did. People were saying, James, what's going on? And I was sat there going, I have no idea. Like, I literally did not know what was going on. There was cars blinking everywhere. I had spikes going through all over the place. It was absolutely horrendous. But Arthur Further here is on the back of Jordan Malcolm going into turn 1. He's going to dive up the inside. He's got the gap of his life to basically make that work. Is Malcolm going to see him? Birdo is through. Malcolm's going to try and chase him back down the hill. They're going to be running side by side through the S's. This is doable if they give each other respectful room. Jordan Malcolm and Arthur Ferdle are no slouches, mind you. And Malcolm cuts back in front of Ferdle there. And Ferdle did not make it this time around. But it does say how much room is available on that first corner there if you take a completely different line from the people in front of you. Tora Oramet, as I believe there might be a coming together here with Ryan Burgess. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but let's have a look back as they are coming into turn 1. Oramet's on the left-hand side, Burgess on the right. Oh, space. Space all day. Needed to need more room.
Yeah, we've just seen 2 examples there. We've seen the example of, taking different lines and having plenty of room by giving each other room, and then we've seen the way of how not to do it, and it's obviously taking 2 different lines, and unfortunately, whether it's just not aware or just maybe a bit too aggressive and just not giving each other space.
Butler and Malcolm side by side, going down into turn 12. Ferdle's got the inside line. Is Malcolm trying to run around the outside? He's not. Ferdle has got second place. Is he going to be able to hold on? He's got a lap to go here. We are going to be on the final lap this time around when Fletch gets across the line. We're coming round. Fletch is currently on his way round turn 15, as are Ferdle and Malcolm right behind him. Turn 15 is done, and we are on our way through the kink of 16 to round 17 and 18. The long right-hander, you can see it there. It goes on for an absolute age. And unfortunately, it looks like Arthur Ferdle is now in second. Can he hang on from Malcolm? That's going to be the question. Fletcher's already about 4.1 seconds up the road at the moment. It looks like this could be the finishing order where it is at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly does. At the moment he's got ahead and he's already gaining time, and some of the straights I'm noticing he's losing it. So I think maybe the McLaren behind can get the power on a bit quicker, because also we know the Aston Martin from earlier, from your comments as well, about Alpha Thurtle's Aston stepping out a bit on the back end. Maybe the McLaren can get down a little earlier, and that's giving Malcolm the fighting chance he needs up the straights to get the power on just a little earlier than Thurtle and gain that little extra advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what is happening further down here with Cavendish Lorne. Lorne is looking at the Alan. I believe that this is going to be Alan McCain in front of him. Stuart Gibbons there as well, the leading AM currently at the moment here, fighting it out further down. So hopefully for Gibbons, he might be able to take an AM victory, which will boost his championship hopes up unbelievably, as he is currently sitting in third, only 4 points away from Mr. Derek Crowther with, oh, there goes Crowther, there goes Werrell with, guess who I was going to talk about? Jack Werrell right there as well. So there's battles here as well. Chris Needham is in his own with Tom Weston. This is a pro battle for 10th and 9th position overall in class. Cavendish Lorne is just trying to get past Gibbons, and he is going to make it through. What Gibbons don't want to do is get caught up in the Crowther battle before. That is it, the final lap. We are all done and dusted here now. It is all about what Fletch is going to do. Is Chagnon going to hold on to from Ryan Dudley? Dudley on the right-hand side in the Mercedes. Chagnon on the left in the Mercedes. They're coming into turn 12 now. Dudley's on the inside. Chagnon's got a little bit loose. He takes a little bit wide, and that's going to allow Dudley to take the lead there as well. One simple mistake like that, Callum, and that is basically what happens to you.
Yeah, it seems like even though we said, you know, the track is bigger, there's a bit more room for error, it seems like the errors that are caused, because this track you can hold quite high speeds through some of these corners, it is critical and vital that you hit every single point you need to hit. And one man that's done that today is Mark Fletcher.
Yeah, he is. He's going across the line. Fletcher's going to take the victory in race 1 in the pros. Arthur Thurtle in second in the pros, and then it was Jordan Malcolm in the AMs. We have got Gibbons, Mr. Stuart Gibbons is looking like he's going to take the victory in the AMs with Crowther behind him, and then Jack Werrell right behind that. So these guys battling it out all the way down to the line, and it is Werrell coming across the line there as well, but it is Fletch who takes the victory in the pros, and you got to be honest, he did an absolute stellar job there, as Adam Hedgecock is going to be coming over the line as well. The Hedgecock got caught up in some incidents and is all the way down in 22nd place overall, 14th in class. Ouch for Mr. Hedgecock. What are we going to say on that one, I think?
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him. I mean, two completely different ends of the spectrum. Oh.
I don't know what's going on with Stuart Hurst's car here, but he is not loving it at the moment. We are just waiting for Dengle and Hannington and Littler to finish off. Damien Hurst's car, they're not looking too clever, as Jamie Dengle comes over the line once more. And then Jason Hannington will be over there earlier on, who got caught up in the Dengle incident. And so did Mr. Littler. It does look like, unless you've got some mad pace here, you get caught up in an incident, you are going to struggle to get back on the front of the field. And let's see here, and we'll bring you up the results of Heat 1. And it is Mark Fletcher in first, Arthur Thurtle second, Jordan Malcolm in third, Ryan Dudley fourth. Then we've got Arnold Chagnon, Alan McCain, Cavendish Lorne in fifth, sixth, and seventh. Stuart Gibbons is the AM leader in 8th, Derek Crowther 9th, Jack Werrell in 10th, Dan Babbage 11th, Tom Weston 12th, Chris Barnes 13th, Chris Needham 14th, Torno Oromets in 15th, Robert Williams 16th, Stuart Rice down in 17th place. And then beyond that, there we go. Ryan Burgess in 18th, Mirko Ficato in 19th, Roger Morton 20th, Chris Evans 21st, Adam Edgecott 23rd, Devon Metis is in 23rd in that McLaren, Kevin Randall 24th, Jamie Dengle 25th, Jason Hannington 26th, and then we're going to round out with Andy Littler down in 27th place. So there we go. These guys have got this brief 5-minute warm-up, and I wonder if I can have a chat We're going to drop him in here as well. Your Heat 1 winner, Mr. Mark Fletcher. Good evening, Mark. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, very well, thanks. You?
I'm not bad, mate. Not bad at all. Not a bad way to open the evening up.
Yeah. Again, got the jump on Jordan, which was massively important to hear. But yeah, just managed to keep the gap the same. Really pleased for Arthur, who managed to get P2 then. That must have been a good move. So yeah, on to race 2.
What's the plans, Mark? Try and do the same again?
Yeah, go in a different time. Currently just driving around because the crew chief wants to know the time it takes to get through the pit lane.
Okay.
So,
well, good luck. You got 3 minutes to get through there, Mark.
Yeah, I might have to get a shift on, but yeah, it should be absolutely fine. But yeah, same again. Hopefully, just drive away.
All right, mate. Well, we'll catch up with you later on, Mark, and good luck in race 2.
Cheers, James. Thank you.
There we go. There as well. And let's see who else we can grab in for a chat. Grab in here. I wonder if I can pull in Mr. Jason Haddington into the booth there. Jason had a very unfortunate incident at the beginning of the race. Good evening to you, Jason. How are you, sir?
I'm alright, pal. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Bit of what happened from your point of view? Dengle was already across the road at one point.
The condom appeared right in front of me and I couldn't miss it.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I just couldn't miss him. So I got a meatball, so I ended up having to pit.
All right. Is it just trying to make the best of a bad situation now and maintain position, or try and gain positions as people are, maybe having some issues?
Hopefully it's people having issues, because that's the only way I'm going to move up the grid. Because I'm not doing well at all on this track.
Is it the track?
I think it's the track, the car, the driver, my eye. I'll blame everything.
Okay. All right, mate. Well, good luck in race 2. It's been a pleasure
Yeah,
talking
cheers,
to you.
mate.
Take care, mate.
Yeah, catch you later.
The track, the car, the driver, Callum. Can it really be all of them?
Now, in his defence, I'm going to say, yes, it can. But in my opinion, no, it can't. No, I think there's definitely some factors that are larger than others. But I think I have to admit, one thing I used to struggle with quite a lot is when I come onto a track I don't like, and I'm not saying any of these drivers are doing it by any means, but when I come up to tracks I don't like, when I used to, I'd get in this mood where I'm like, everything's wrong. You know, the driver's wrong, car's wrong, track's wrong, it's not going right, don't like it, hate it, don't want to be it. You know, it's one of them. And I think that's the same with anything really you do. Once you're in that mindset, it's difficult to get out of it. And I feel some of these drivers may have got into that mindset now where they're a bit stuck, where they kind of, I don't like the combinations, don't like the track, don't like this, temps, don't like that. There's a lot of factors that play into it, and unfortunately it's one of the things that we mentioned at the start of the broadcast. It's mentality, is which racers can do the best to rise above the mentality that they have based on the track or the cars or anything like that, or other racers on track. It's rising above that and doing as best as you can while trying to keep your mind sort of free and clear while going around here as fast as possible, really.
Okay, well, there you go, guys, as well. Thanks so much for joining us. If you are here, do say hello. We will respond to you. And don't forget to give the video a big old thumbs up, because that would be absolutely amazing. And turn on the bells for notifications, because we've got a lot of racing coming up for you over the next days here. And here is the grid for race 2. Mark Fletcher in first, Arthur Ferdle in second, Jordan Malcolm third, Brian Dudley fourth, Arnold Chagnon fifth, Alan McCain in sixth, Kevin Ilorne seventh, Stuart Gibbons is leading the AMs in eighth, Derek Carver ninth, Jack Werrell in 10th, Dan Babbage 11th, Tom Weston is down in 12th. Chris Barnes in 13th, Chris Needham 14th, Torno Oromets in 15th, Robert Williams 16th, Stuart Rice in 17th, Ryan Burgess 18th, Mirko Ficato in 19th, Roger Morton 20th, Chris Evans 21st, Adam Hedgecott 22nd, Stephen Mellis 23rd, and Kevin Randall in 24th, Jamie Dengle 25th, Jason Haddington 26th, Andy Littler 27th, and Damien Hurst is down in 28th place there. So there is a lot here A lot of cars out of position, so be aware there could be some massive moves here with a lot of cars out of position in this one, Callum. It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think that's just one of them things that puts a spin on different elements of the race for a lot of these drivers. And well, the man I backed in race 1 is currently up there in the front row, so I'm going to carry on my backing for this second race.
Going Fertile again.
I think you'll pull through. I've got faith.
Okay. I can't see. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with the man on pole at the moment. I can't see past Mark Fletcher unless there is any dramatic things happening. I know there's 3 people in the altitude box at the moment. There's Mark and Adam, and then there's Brian Loynes, who is crew chiefing. So, yeah. They're definitely taking it serious, the altitude boys, I'm not going to lie. But for Adam Hedgecock, he's going to have a struggle to come back through the field, and that's no offence to Adam, but all the way down here in 14th place, it's going to be a bit of a mission for him to get back through. But I'm sure he'll do an absolutely stellar job once again. 28 cars on track, guys, here at COTA, and it will, well, look at them all. It just looks amazing, I'm not going to lie. But
it is really good, I have to admit, seeing all different manufacturers on the track rather than just the same car all the time. That's one of the key highlights of this series, I have to say.
Yeah, let's see if Fletch does what he did last time. He went out on the final corner and he went and cut Arthur Fertle's nose off. There was nowhere for Fertle to go. This time around, he's not doing the same. He has done the same thing. They didn't learn from race 1. Fletch did exactly the same thing. They're coming out now. Here he goes. Fletch is out in front. Fertle second. Ryan Dudley has got the jump done on Jordan Malcolm. Malcolm's going to try and send it up the inside here further back. Is there going to be room left by Dudley? He does. There's them leaning on each other as they go now. And then further through here is everybody else as well. Oh, there was a little bit of an incident with Furcano there as well. And they all made it through. Damien Hirst nearly lost the car all completely there and nearly went into torpedoed into the back. But it is Fletch, Fertle, oh, Malcolm, Dudley, and I'm not really sure what happened to Malcolm there. That looked a very bizarre incident, I'm not going to lie. How did that happen? So he goes up in front. Dudley comes back, oh, he's braking in the corner.
Didn't have very much time to react there, I have to admit.
I'm not quite sure why the need for braking as heavy as that in that corner, unless he thought the car was loose and he was going to be losing it. Unfortunately, there for Malcolm, it's put him all the way down in 26th place. And looked a little bit of a bizarre incident to be having brakes on the car back further as well. There's more chaos down at the back end here. Jordan Malcolm, Jason Haddington, Stefan Mellis. Oh, literally, you've got to wait for Mellis to move. Mellis, well, he went up the back end of Jordan Malcolm.
Yeah, that was a proper little pile-up, that was. Car suspended off the ground and all sorts.
Yeah, Stefan Mellis goes up the inside. Malcolm's on the outside, so he's free out. Contact with Haddington and Hirst. And then they end up like that. Well, that's a picture if anybody wants one. I've got to be honest, the car sat on top of another one. Very bizarre incident there. Got to be honest, 42 minutes remaining. They have got time to get some places back, but that did look quite a bizarre incident there. I'm not going to lie here this evening, Callum.
No, it's I have to admit, instances like that, it's not something you want to see, but it's better to get it out of the way early doors in a race like this and leave it till last minute, because you could still claw back positions. You know, we've got 42 minutes to go. There's nothing lost yet, so everything is still to play for, even if you are Needham, for example, in P27.
Yeah, Werrell's just cleared Chonunier there. Currently at the moment, everybody is making their way through into this tight corner. If you are on the inside, you want to be careful. Jordan Malcolm is there. Mellis is coming through as well. Haddington is sitting in the pit lane. Randall is going into the pits. Then you've got Littler and Needham behind them also going in here as well. Stuart Rice is under pressure from Automets here. This is going to be a job for Rice, I'm not going to lie. This is a pro and am battle with Mirko Ficato behind him, battling it out as well. So for Stuart Rice, is going to be hanging on for dear life. I've got this funny feeling. Rob Williams is up 2. Adam Hedgecock up 10 and is making his way through the field there with Ryan Burgess following him as best he can. And once again, Weston moves over and allows Hedgecock and Burgess through. Not nearly sure that was probably necessary this early on, I would have thought. Stuart Rice is still running currently at the moment, and it is still Fletch, Birdle, Dudley, Delaunay, Werrell and Chagnon.
That's a fantastic lineup of drivers there, and you can see how close it is. And I reckon we're going to have quite close battles and races going on between a lot of drivers all throughout this session now. Throughout the next 40 minutes, I think we're going to be treated some great racing. And well, we had a little situation, I think it was at Mount Panorama, where some of the cars that had earlier incidents, they went into the pits to get repaired, and I believe that counted as their pit stop. Am I right in saying that can still happen?
It can if they feel they can get to the end. The problem is getting to the end on 50% fuel, right? Because that's basically the standard of what they've got. So they're going to have to try and contend with that. But whether or not they're going to be able to get to the end, that's going to be a difficult one to say.
Yeah, it'll certainly be tight, and I think the main thing is tyres. I think fuel tanks, we saw from Mount Panorama that, you know, a lot of these cars can last majority of the distance, maybe not full 45, but majority of that they definitely can easily cruise by. And I think it'll be interesting to see those cars that did have an earlier incident, when they actually go into the pits, whether they copy the strategy the same of the big pack ahead of them or not.
Oh, Gibbons is getting lunged. He's getting lunged by Barnsey. Oh, well saw. Is he now going to be able to hold Chris Barnes? These guys in the AMs. This is the battle for second and third in the AMs. Jack Werrell's just there up the line. They don't really want to be fighting. They really want to kind of get onto the back of it. Even though they've got a pit stop here, Callum, they don't want to be jeopardising what they're doing.
No, they don't. And obviously I'm gritting my teeth and clutching anything I possibly can, watching Barnes at the minute, because obviously I'm being a member of Triple P. I want him to get out there as high as he possibly can after having a decent race one, and he's nearly put it straight into the back of Stuart Gibbons there. Little love tap on the back of the 47. We've got a Merc that's spun around, a white Merc on the inside there. Not too sure what's happened there. Oh no, not okay. No, I'm not happy to see that man on the side of the road.
No, he's just got to sit there now. He can go now, but what happened to Ryan Dudley? It was all on his own. All on his own, and unfortunately for Ryan Dudley, this is the incident that basically has dropped him all the way down. Too many beans, and around he goes. Oh, Ryan Dudley. Too many beans there, sir. Too many beans. Good evening, YouTube. Craig Jones, how you doing? Hope you're welcome in. Thanks so much. The chat is quiet this evening. They're all sitting back and enjoying the racing. As there you can see, Stuart Rice has lost a place to Alan McCain in front of him currently, and he's be still battling away down in 15th and 16th place currently at the moment, fighting it out. But Ferdinand and Fletcher out front. Gibbons is under pressure. You can see the Triple P of Barnsey in his rear view. Barnsey, they're running side by side. Is Barnsey going to have the inside going into turn 19? He is. Now, it's going to be interesting as well, because Chris Barnes has also joined the Clios as of this morning, messaging me, saying, hey mate, any places left in the Clios? And then he went and joined the Clios as well. But Chris Barnes will be in the Clios on Monday night, but these stroller cars here with Gibbons, Barnes, Babbage, Crowther, Hedgecock's in there up 12 places, the biggest gainer. Mark Chappell, holla! Good racing. Welcome in, Mark. Hope you're well. And Jordan Malcolm and Ryan Dudley. Funny enough, they've been here before. Oh, Malcolm gives him a little bit of a hip check, says thank you very much, I'm going to have that place. What is Dudley going to do here? They are literally going to be throwing the car at each other. Ryan Dudley, Jordan Malcolm. Dudley's got to go the inside. He has. Is he going to back out before they get to the apex? No, Dudders.
That's not Dudley's night, I don't think, not for this race, but I still stand by it. The pack's only at the end of the S-bends up here, so he's not fully out of it yet. He's still got something in that tank, I imagine, because he's not a slow driver, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Jack Werrell currently in 6th, leading the AM class at this moment in time. And it is Fletch in the pros. but I think Dudley's had a bit of a rough run here. I think he got caught up with Malcolm at the beginning. Then they come together and there was a little bit of hit chips going on. And then they've got, had the moment there where Dudley went in a little bit hotter than probably he needed to. But yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Another man that's battling away down here is Mr. Williams. He's in the BMW. Thought he wasn't in the BMW last week.
No, as you can see from the team name, he was in the Porsche.
Yes.
There's been a couple of switch ups in Triple P, I believe, because also we have Stuart Rice, who I think I just saw a couple of laps ago. He's in the Aston Martin.
Yeah.
When he was in the McLaren last time round. So a couple of switch ups. Not too sure the reason behind it all, but I know that I remember Rob did want to get some practice in on the Beamer because I think he is settling down with this car now for the rest of the season. Don't quote me on that and don't hold me to that, but we do also, Chris Barnes and Rob Williams will be doing in Nürburgring, a lengthy Nürburgring race. I think it's an endurance race in the BMW GT4, so looking forward to that. But yeah, a couple of switch ups there, but it's going to be not much of a match for the Merc though. Merc manages to hold the inside line, and a fantastic blue on that Merc as well, lovely metallic colours, as that it's going to hold the inside line leading up into turn 1 under the green lights. And Robert Williams looks like he's conceded the place unless he can carry stronger momentum through turn 1, or going to look for a switchback maybe. No, just going to hold the outside and sit it in place. Wise decision in my opinion, because it is a slight endurance race this, so time is on your side at the moment. So if you can keep with that car ahead of you, you can either try and work as a team and claw your way back up the grid, or catch back in front, or you can just, if you wanted to, you can push for the move now, but I don't think it's wise, with these tyres and heat out on track. I'd say, yeah, sit off, coast it easy, and try and make up some positions when we get into that pit window.
Yeah, well, they will be, I think we are looking at locking cars in after this heat as well, so they will have to make their final decisions, and it is all job done. You are locked in for no. Sir, you're too far back there, I've got to be honest. Hedgecock's had an incident and has dropped himself back down the order again after doing so well. He was up 12 places here. Was he aided by Mr. Burgess? Oh, you can see him. Oh, it was a bit of a rough elbows out there for Ryan Burgess over Adam Hedgecock, and he did manage to get through. Vicento is going up the inside of Western, and he's trying to make a squeeze there as well. Crowther's battling away. Burgess is trying to not do that.
Well, this is certainly someone we didn't expect to see sitting facing the wrong way around the track, and that's Derek Crowther in the BMW Blades livery there. Unfortunately for him, he's dropped quite a few positions. Not 100% sure what happened to him, but is it a case of the back end of the Beamer getting loose again? Because we've seen that a couple of times tonight with many of the BMW drivers.
He was hit by Burgess. Have a look. Burgess went to dive up the inside, and unfortunately there was contact. Burgess here in the Aston Martin. I think we need to clarify this side-by-side rules. You can't, if the door's always closing, there isn't a gap, please don't go for it. I know they say, well, my nose was in front. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to wash with that. Your nose is only alongside if your front wheels are in line with their back wheels. And then I will class that you are alongside, and then I will give you that moment to say that. But I'm not going to give you a moment when your front sensor of your bumper is just alongside their rear one. It doesn't count, I'm afraid. I think, yeah, definitely not.
I think the one main thing
I do as I go along.
Well, the one main thing with that rule as well is I feel like that's enforced a lot by Formula 1 cars, which those, yeah, okay, you can't turn around that easily and see your blind spot, but with those cars, when they say that their front end is up alongside a car, you can see said front end very easily, because, yeah, okay, you can't turn fully around and see your blind spots like you can in these cars, well, a bit easier in these cars. You can easily see the front nose, whereas you've got, all these cars are quite tall, and especially if you're in a Beamer, you're a lot bigger than the rest of the cars out there, so you can't see those cars that are maybe just getting their front bumper in line, or maybe just ahead of your rear bumper. You're not going to see that. So in Deck's situation there, he's not going to see that. He's got high door frames that he can't see over to that position on where that inside car is. So I feel like a lot of people. I think this is a key time to say that we can use the F1 as an example as why it shouldn't happen, because these cars cannot see what those F1 cars can. You know, they're not as small as them, so you can't see as much.
Yeah, but that's where this rule and this confusion about, I was alongside. Was you really? Was you really alongside in a gap of a door that was always going to close? Right? You could see Crowther was going to close that door. Always. Netco.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't see any contact between them two cars, unfortunately.
I did not see any either. But they could sit back and say that they were alongside, right? But I can't see. Yes, I am a fan of Formula One, and I live on Formula One rules, right? I get that. But at the end of the day, you can't sit there and say, right, this is alongside. What we're looking at now is near enough alongside with Furcano. He's backing off a little bit, so he's not quite there. Right, he's going to take a different line into one. He's going to take that much tighter line. That's put him alongside. You can see that. Weston's alongside. So that's fine. But don't give me I'm alongside when your front split inch is just inside their back bumper. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit back and say that you're alongside when you're not. You can't be. You know, if your front wheels was alongside their back wheels, I'll give you all day that you were alongside. But do not tell me when your inch of your front splitter is just alongside them and you wonder why there's contact. It can't happen.
I think the easiest way to remember it is if you could see the opposing driver like these two can at the minute, and Barnsley's going to have the inside line and manage to get through and keep the position, but the Mercs are going to go straight back on the attack. But the easiest way to remember it is if you can make eye contact with the driver next to you and you can offer him a cup of tea, I would say you're side by side. If you can't, no way, Jose, back off.
Yeah, are you really? That's the thing, and I think this is where there's so much of because the rules within iRacing are so open to interpretation. Over the years that the service has been up and running, people have interpreted to, I'm alongside by that 9-inch little bit of my front right light. You turned it, give over. Realistically, if you're alongside in real life racing and you have hit him off, that's on you. If you've got your bumper smidging inside his back bumper and you're there going, I'm alongside, and he's hit you off, tough, deal with it. You can't sit back and say you're alongside when you weren't. And if you've hitting somebody off and they've spun around and you've carried on, that's on you to either let them back through or write them a message and apologise, because you're not alongside as far as I'm concerned unless you are actually alongside. So there we go. I don't know what everybody else thinks of YouTube. Let me know. I'm sure Craig Jones will give me his opinion at some point. And also Mark Chappell in chat there as well. So the two experienced drivers, I'm sure they'll be able to tell me what is alongside and what is not. There we go. That's it, my rant.
Well, I think you described it very well there, to be honest, and I think that debate will be proven to help in the long run of things in terms of not only this series but many others. Hopefully that'll be a bit of a wake-up call for some of these drivers.
Do you know what? If that was all it would take, right, I'd go on a rant more often, because I'm sorry, I don't think it would. I think there was more involved in that, and Jack Werrell was just basically apparently had an incident. I've got a funny feeling he was just slowed down at turn 1. I don't know if he actually did make an incident. Oh, he went in a little bit hot, I'm not going to lie, for Jack. And unfortunately that would be why it come up that he had a crash. But he is still trying to fight away here with Chris Barnes in the hand battle. Werrell is in front, Barnesy is in second behind him. Alan McCain is fighting out with Adam Hedgecott. These guys are coming down the hill nose to tail currently at the moment as well. So let's see what happens here. Oh, McCain thinks better of it before he sends it up the inside of that Altitude Esports McLaren. But Werrell is now literally under attack from Chris Barnes. Is Barnes going to be able to do it? I'm not sure what that was, but whether or not he was trying to show his nose or get in the slipstream, he's now trying to push the outside line. He's going to try and cut back him. He is here on the exit. Can he get that Porsche speed up? He can't. He can't get through. We saw what he tried, Callum. I think we could see the intention, but he just didn't have the speed there to do it.
Yeah, no, unfortunately he didn't. And one of the things we've seen that goes against the Aston Martin in this race is they can be a little back-end happy, and we've seen against the McLaren, it suffers in terms of getting the power on a little slower, but against the Porsche, it seems to be pretty evenly balanced. You know, there's not much split in the two cars. Whereas you can see the McLaren was easily gaining time on the straights because it was able to get the power down quicker. Whereas for the Porsche of Barnsley there, the background in Triple P racing livery, I don't know, it looks like a pretty even playing field there. And I think in terms of the escape out of the corner and the exit, you know, you can look at the timings there in the top left, and there's a bit of time coming down from a good exit there from Buzz. But I think in terms of the car's playing field, without the driver, they're pretty plain level on paper.
And they definitely are as well. I think Craig is just trying to stir the pot up here. Any part alongside is alongside, has to be that way in sim racing. And Mark Chapel put Defo needs to be at least front wheel against back wheel. I agree. Also have spotters to say alongside too. Yeah, I get that one as well. And obviously people can, you know, you can get the in-game spotter, or you have got crew chief, or if you race labs, if you haven't got overlays or SDK, there's a lot of other options out there as well. There's another, what's the one that Tom West
DRE.
Dre as well. Yeah, there's DRE. There's also,
I use that one. That is very, very good, I have to say.
There's also iOverlay, who's overlay providers. So there's overlays out there as well to tell you who you're fighting with. But apparently Dre is pretty good by all accounts.
It is. I believe you can obviously get the free version or the paid sub version, and I've only got the free one at the minute. But I am so putting my money into that one I get paid, because that is really, really good. It tells you so much information. Some of it you don't need to know, but you can turn it off. So there's certain bits you can get them to tell you, some bits you don't need, and like for example, they'll be telling you they're side by side right now as these cars, Adam Hedgecock's going to have the inside line leading into the left-hander here, and he's going to hold that position against the Merc, hold the Merc out to the outside line, and it might bring Alan McCain into the battle in the background there in the blue Mercedes. Not quite going to have enough momentum leading into that corner, and he's not going to close the gap down enough to make that a three-way battle. But at the moment, Hedgecock remains defensive and holds the position. But Brian Dudley's now trying to pose attack on Christopher Evans in the Aston Martin there, and once again looks like we've been hit with the damage curse on Dudley's car, and he's wrapped the front of that Mercedes around a pole.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's weird how it all of a sudden puts it in. I'm not going to lie, whether or not they've hit a part of the car that's pushed that bumper in, so that would be, if you're looking at it in hindsight, a rear quarter panel push, wouldn't it? Whether it would be left or right on the corner.
And we did see one of them in turn one.
We did, so it's possible that that may have happened to Dudley here further down the field. This is a battle for 18th and 19th overall. Dudley's in 11th in class. Evans is in he is in 8th in class currently as well. Dudley's looking racy. He's definitely going to have the pace here. He's going to go into the pits this time around, so Dudley is going to be going in. Burgess is battling away with Ficato. One day, might get it right. And he's battling away in the Mercedes as well, so there we go. We've got to go back to work, says Craig Jones. Oh, never mind, mate. Sad times. Enjoy it. Build me a wall. There we go.
I will say one thing is the Aston Martins look pretty even out on the field. If you look and Williams has just gone into the middle to split them up. But I was going to say from 14th to 19th there, you got majority of the Aston Martins out on display tonight, all in one section. So apart from the Beamer of Williams in the middle, they're all pretty close today. And obviously you have your aliens of Werrell and Thurtle, but all the Aston Martins with normal paced people were quite nicely close together.
Yeah, they have got the thing I've only ever seen, and this isn't any disrespect to any of the Aston Martin drivers, I've got to be honest. I've only ever seen Arthur Thurtle be quick in this car, partly because of the way that the car itself drives. Chris Barnes, Chardonnay is in there as well. He's 4th in the pros, but Barnsley and Werrell battling it out. Porsche versus Aston Martin. Chardonnay, don't jeopardize the battle we've got in front of us here. Barnsley's doing a cracking job.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm blown away. I saw he did get caught in a bit of traffic in race 1, so I did wonder if that was imposing a threat to his pace. And by the looks of what we've seen so far in this feature race, it looks like it was. So it's good to see that he's out in a bit of open air and having some good battles up in the top part of the field. So I have to admit, you know, taking the bias away from it. I'm very proud, but here's where strategy comes into play. Jack Werrell's gone into the pits. Barnes carries on, so Barnes and Chagnon need to have a really good lap here to maintain said position and not lose any time to Werrell, who's entered the pit lane.
Yeah, Roger Morton looks like he's had a bit of a spicy incident here with Stuart Rice. What have you been up to, Mr. Rice? Well, he sent it up the He sent it from a long way there. He's trying to go around the outside. Morton's got it deep as well. They both missed the apex of the corner, and both of them together there unfortunately went off track. But Werrell's in pits. Alan McCain's still fighting it out with Tom Weston further down the order. Mr. McCain from Team SRL in the pros. It's a battle for 10th and 9th in the pros at the moment. 28 cars on track. We've got Jason Hannington out at the moment. He has come out and apologised for his earlier incident where we did have Jordan Malcolm up in the air. It was a very bizarre incident, not going to lie. As Stefan Mellis, well, went up the back end of him and then lifted him up in the air like he wasn't even there, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a bit. It's an unfortunate incident. These things happen though, and like we mentioned earlier, it's a good thing that they happened earlier on in the race because you can see some of the drivers that were involved, you know, clawing their way back up the grid. And with these pit stops coming into play, it really does come into question on tactics, who's going in and when, and what are you getting done when you're in. You know, are you getting a fresh set of boots as well as fuel, or are you only replacing? Because I noticed that some people only replace fronts, or some people only replace rears, depending on tyre wear and heat and things. So there's a lot that comes into play in terms of pit strategy, and I think that does take a crucial effect, especially in GT4s, because the field is quite even. You know, we've seen the times that were very close in qualifying, so I feel crucial elements like in the pits, you know, with the tyres and the fuel, I think all of that is crucial for these kind of races.
Yeah, Jordan Malcolm making his way through the field. He's in 17th and he has pitted now. He's got clean air just to run for as much as he wants. Dangle has got Evans behind him. Stuart Rice is down in there with the Triple P. I think he's going to have Chris Needham in front of him. But there are a lot of people who haven't pitted, and I can tell you from where Roger Morton is the last Remainer who hasn't pitted, but Jack Werrell is the first person to have pitted and is sitting in 4th in the AMS, 14th overall. But Hedgecock is in, Ficanto is in, Barnes is in as well. But Werrell's got a great opportunity to gain a lot of positions overall here if he can keep it round these last couple of corners cleanly. Pit stop wise, we're looking at about 44 seconds. But this could really work out in Werrell's favour if he can just basically get round the last two the corners cleanly and then make their way past a gaggle of cars that are in the pits. He's got Barnes, Ficanto, Hedgecock and Morton. Is this where we're going to see Werrell now? There's movements at the front, but Ficanto is on his way out. Barnes is on his way out as well. And is Werrell going to clean them all? He has. Jack Werrell went in early. The undercut worked for Werrell there, Callum, and he's done an absolutely stellar job.
Yeah, fantastic from Werrell. That was timed and performed to perfection for himself and his team there in the Aston Martin. Barnes is going to have the chase on. Just under a second splits the two cars. And it was a bit closer than this before they went into the pits, but Werrell has gained that vital couple of tenths, and now you can see that Barnes has just slipped out of that 1 second gap as well. Barnes will have tyres that are slightly under temperature compared to Werrell's that will be up to temperature and fit and ready to run. So at the minute, Werrell has the advantage, but the question is later on in the race, tyre wear towards the end of the race, is Werrell's tyres going to wear out a bit quicker than Barnes? Is Barnes going to have a little more rubber left to use and manage to pull off an overtake late on in this race? I mean, who knows? We're going to find out very soon, but very, very good stuff there from Werrell. Hats off to you, sir.
Would you have changed tyres?
I would have to look at, one, it depends what car I'm using. If I was using something like the Beamer or the Aston, which is a bit back-end happy, I might end up just changing the rears. Whereas if I was in something like the Merc or the McLaren, I'd probably change them all. So I think it all depends on the car and your driving style. Because I have had it before where I've changed certain tyres depending on temperature and usage and things like that. You know, some need it more than others, and it's just quicker just to do maybe, if you've got one tyre that's not being used much, do 3. You know, only change 3 and keep that other one on, and it's not going to pose too much of an effect on you. It might make you quicker. You have a quicker pit stop than the rest. But wow, that was a big dive, and that was nearly a heavy collision there from Christopher Evans in the Triple P livery of the Aston Martin, P15 at the moment for Evans, and the battle still goes on between Jerry Warren and Chris Barnes. Barnes slightly missed the apex there, so Warren's going to have a bit of an advantage leading out of that corner, but the gap's under a second again, so Barnes is finding pace on Warren at the minute, but there's a couple of little parts on the track that he does lose it out of, and it looks like exit speed at the minute is catching Warren for Barnesy. So with a lovely camera angle there, you could see the gap between the two cars, and they're coming out just in front of the Project 88 cars, and Babbage was very close to the back end of Chris Barnes. That was a lot closer than what any of us would have liked to have seen, especially myself, because my heart was in my mouth at that point, because these two did have a little collision earlier on in the season in the GT4s. So yeah, it's going to be tense between them two, I know that for a fact, but Barnes has just got to get his head down and focus on the battle ahead rather than the battle behind. They're on fresh tyres, you know, temperature's got to get up, but if I know Barnes races in a VR, so if he had seen that, I'm pretty sure a new pair of underwear is needed at the end of this race.
Yeah, I think so as well. Chris Barnes nearly got torpedoed by Dan Babbage coming out of the pits. Babbage seemed to be on full pace there as he come out and nearly absolutely levelled Barnesy off the other side of the track, missed him by inches. So unfortunately, well, fortunately enough, they didn't take it out here. But Jack Werrell, I'm not going to lie, potentially he could end third overall. If Werrell gets on his bike a little bit and everybody else in front of him, which is Delaunay, Chaudier, McCain and Weston, go into the pits, there is a chance Jack Werrell here could end up third overall. And that would be an absolutely epic job from Jack Werrell there. So, yeah, stay tuned for this one.
It's like, so there's two things I want to go over. First of all, the major thing, as I said, there could be a couple of surprises in there. I think this is one of the biggest surprises here. Werrell and Barnes battling it out for the amateurs, bearing in mind. They're currently in P7, P8, and like you say, we've got a couple in the pits in the minute, and these guys could be getting a much higher position. But second of all, Mark Chappell in the chat did say tyres would depend on stop time versus gain time with the new tyres. So, yeah, there's a lot that plays in on pit stops and tyres, and I think it does benefit when you have someone as a crew chief, you know, an actual person rather than AI doing it. They can look at these things for you, but when you don't have that, you've just got to try your best from the vehicle, from inside the cockpit, to really see what is going on with your tyres and gauge it from what the sim is telling you. But the big thing now about this race is how far can these AMs get up this field?
Well, they're under a great opportunity to move quite far up here. Adam Hedgecock has just cleared Tom Weston. However, Weston sends it up the inside. Oh, they were side by side, stellar driving. No contact from Hedgecock and Weston there, but Weston, boy oh boy, did he try and come back and have some of him. It had gone Hedgecock, it had gone Weston, it had gone Hedgecock, and it has stayed Mr. Adam Hedgecock here, who is now up into 11th place. Of course, Adam from Hedge Photography. Go and check him out if you've not already. He does some absolutely stellar photos for us here in the JPB network, so you can go and check him out, and his links are down in the description below as well. But yeah, that was a definite close one, can we say, for these gentlemen, and Hedgecock did manage to make it through, but the top two are in together. Is Chaudier going to be going in? Where is Jack Werrell going to end up in conjunction to these cars? It's going to be very exciting here. If Werrell does get near these top two, I think we're looking at a 45-second stop. I've got a funny feeling there's not going to be any tyres. They don't look like they're going to be going up in the air here, Callum. I would be very surprised if they do, to be honest. You can see Fletcher's car there just stationary, not going anywhere. Arthur Ferdinand behind him. He hasn't made no tyres there.
No tyres at all, and I think I remember I think it was in the previous round, he'd done an interview with him and he said he didn't change the tyres because he didn't need to, had good tyre management and managed to keep the pace throughout the race. But this one is a lot closer than the previous rounds that we've seen between Fletcher and Thurtle, so that could be the battle to watch in the last few laps. But at the minute we still have a few cars within a second of each other out there, so there's still some tight battles going on. But I do think the last couple of laps of this race, that's when things are going to get really tense between a lot of these guys on track.
definitely is there, and Fertile and McCain and Fletch and Launay and Werrell is now up further. The only one that's not pitted is Alan McCain, currently in this Merc here. Jack Werrell did not clear Cabernet de Launay, but Launay is only just down the road in front. You can see him there, so doing an absolutely stellar job. But let's see what de Launay can do here in 4th place overall. Absolutely incredible. But last week it was all Fletcher, Fertile and McCain in race 1. Fletcher, Fertile, Malcolm in race 2. In the hands was Pinto, Weston, and Werrell, Craver and Sampson. So we've got no Sampson here this evening. I haven't seen Sampson on track, but it's looking like Jack Werrell and Chris Barnes could end up having a little bit of a ding-dong here. I'm not going to lie, as we're coming into this last 11 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to get it's going to go into Fergie time, I think, in terms of pushing each other for position and really getting on the aggression. But James, I do have a bit of a question for you, actually. If you were racing in this race on this very track in these conditions, what car would you be picking for your 45 minutes?
The McLaren.
Just wow, straight away the McLaren. Why would you pick the McLaren over the rest?
Because I personally think when you signal out cars and you put them in an order and you say that the Porsche might be better on braking, but it's sluggish on acceleration, or the Aston Martin might be better on acceleration, but it's rubbish on braking. I just feel if you put that into a category of 1 to 5, right? I reckon if you signalled out the McLaren, you would have freeze across the board. It's just consistent with everything. Does that make sense? It has.
Yeah, so you like an all-rounder.
Yeah, that's what. All-rounder. I think that's the thing. An all-rounder would be me. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm very similar. I haven't done much racing in the GT4s. I'll be doing a bit more obviously with Barnes and Mr. Williams, but I've done quite a bit of GT3 work, and I'm very similar in that. I like the Ferrari because all around it's just great at everything. You know,
I differ on the Ferrari. I like the Mercedes.
I like the Mercedes. I think it's good, and I think it's probably one of the safest GT3 cars. But I think the Ferrari is just very well balanced around. No matter what track it is, whether I like it or hate it, I always seem to get semi-decent times out of there. Like we saw Watkins Glen, recently with a fantastic event, which obviously we smashed the target for. That charity event, when I was racing around there in the Ferrari, absolutely loved it. I'm very consistent in it as well. So, yeah, I'm similar to you in liking all-around cars, but for me, the Ferrari is an all-arounder for GT3.
Yeah, still prefer the McLaren. Let me know in chat and tell us what you feel would be your favourite car to drive around in a GT4. Do you like an all-rounder? Do you like an understeery? Do you like an oversteery? Do you like one that's sluggish? I don't know, whatever you want to try and achieve here. Jordan Malcolm has made his way through the field. He's been caught up in a few incidents and is now just getting onto the top 10 of the pros. He's got Tom Weston in the Merc and Adam Hedgecock in the McLaren. So we've got a Merc, a sandwich here, because the Mercedes is kind of the meat between the bread almost, as we've got the two McLarens in front of him as well. So stellar job there for Jordan Malcolm, trying to battle his way back through along with Mr. Chagnon, who I'm glad Jordan Malcolm backed out of that one.
Yeah, I think that could have been a recipe for disaster there, but luckily, like you say, he backed out, played the safer option. There's still 8 minutes to go. There's not a lot of time, but there's still a lot that can happen in that 8 minutes. You know, there could be some mistakes, and Jordan Malcolm, obviously, so far, he's done very well clawing his way back up the field, and I reckon that guy's got more in the tank as well, where that came from. So if he's able to, once he gets in front of these two cars ahead of him, he's got lovely clean air, and you can really sort of get his head down and try and catch on to that pack, as you can see from your track map there in the top right corner of your screens. For those watching at home, you can see they're all, this entire sort of top 10 almost pack is leading into turn 1 at the minute, as some of the cars go side by side, and there's space between them, and there's going to be a bit of a cutback. That seems to be the strong thing here on Chagnon, is the cutback on that turn 1. That seems to be very popular for those cars that are taking different lines through turn 1. So there's, I think, a lot of room for error was a good thing to mention, but also the amount of different lines and track positions that these cars have been taking this race has opened my eyes a little bit to some of the ways that these guys race on here. Obviously, this being my first time, so it's very interesting to see, and actually liking this track a lot more now as well. Seeing so many different lines you can actually take through these corners and still being beneficial to you is fantastic.
Yeah, Fagano is just trying to go up the inside of Chagnon. Chagnon's got to be aware he's coming. He is aware he's coming. And then also within that mix as well is Dan Babbage is out in the BMW, Ryan Burgess in the Aston Martin as well. Burgess trying to make his way through on them here. On the guys in front, here is Fagano on the left, and then Chagnon on the right. I'm going to Fincato on the inside on that car 310. Is he going to be able to make it through this time? Or is Burgess just going to sit there and watch the action unfold? He's going to try and he is, but he's got a funny feeling. I've got a funny feeling these Mercs are going to end up coming together as well. But lucky enough, nothing doing at the moment. Mark Chappell, Ferrari in the GT3, 2 times third places in Daytona 24 with Danny Kazar and Damien Hirst and Jack Werrell. And then GT4 is the BMW. Ooh. What do you reckon?
I'm all for Mark Chappell's message, because they're the 2 cars that I would pick, really. The only other car in the GT4 I have, apart from the Aston Martin, which I'm not a big fan of, is the BMW, and I have to admit I quite enjoy it. After doing a couple of laps around the Nürburgring, first ever time in the car and second or third time driving around that track, so I didn't really know much about either one. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Took to it pretty quickly. It only took me a lap of the Nürburgring, which is obviously quite a long time. You know, it's near enough 10 odd minutes. So, but it was enough time for me to get used to a car. And yeah, I think I completely agree with Mark Chappell there on what he's saying. Yeah, completely agree, 100%.
Well, there you go. Thanks, Mark, for your input. Much appreciated. We are watching Ryan Burgess. It's clear that Arnold Chagnon, mind you. Williams is also in a nice little battle further down. Barnesy and McCain are battling it out for 4.5 minutes as well. Williams has got Rice and Dudley. I think Dudley has just passed Williams. He has. Now it's all about Williams staying in front of his teammate here. This is going to be an interesting one. First rules of racing, don't take out your teammate, boys, please. That would be absolutely amazing. Fausto Pinto, hello, is in YouTube chat. Why are you not in the race here this evening, Fausto? Where are you? Are you probably going to tell me you don't like the racetrack? Along with most of the other drivers have told me they don't like the racetrack.
Now, I do have another question for you. So far, obviously I know we have a couple more minutes left, but so far, who's your driver of the day been?
Werrell.
I was going to say, for me, it's either Werrell or, let me find his name. Can't say. Oh, no, okay, never mind. My other shout is currently out, according to our standings. I was going to say Malcolm, because he done so well after that earlier incident to get all the way back up the field, and unfortunately it looks like he's out and in the pits at the moment. So that was going to be my other pick that's kind of up along with Werrell at this moment in time. But yeah, unfortunately, Malcolm is out and in the pits.
Yeah, I would say Jack Werrell. To be fair, you could put Jack Werrell and Chris Barnes on a pedestal together, because I think the fact that they're Rams mixing it in with the pros here, I think both of these have done amazing. Jordan, can you DM me, please? That would be amazing. Thank you so much. And we'll have a chat about that. Alan McCain and Chris Barnes. I think, yeah, Chris Barnes and Jack Werrell could be both the same here. Alan McCain is just about to go up the inside of Jack Werrell, up the inside of Barnesy, sorry. Barnesy's trying to cut back as they come down the hill in his Mercedes and in the Porsche. They're going to be running side by side. If they don't sort this out before the S's, it's going to be side by side through the S's. They did manage to sort it out. Barnesy got that place back, a stellar job. Both of them doing really well, I think, on that one. I think Barnesy and Werrell could be on the pedestal together if you put them as drivers of the day.
Yeah, 100% agree. And this is one of the things I do like seeing as well. You know, I know not all racing drivers agree with this, but Alan McCain doing a fantastic job of putting the differences of class between Barnes and himself aside, you know, pro versus am, brushing that to one side and just going based on, you know, track times at the minute and everything and pace overall. These two are giving it a proper good battle, and you can see a little bit of damage on the front of the Merc there, a little bit of a lamppost bender on the front of that Merc there, but I mean, take that damage away, these two cars look absolutely stunning on a day like today, and yeah, putting their differences aside and actually fighting it out rather than sort of letting Barnes opening up the door and just letting McCain go because he's a pro is actually quite nice to see and quite refreshing to see as well, showing that, you know, these two can have battles. You know, the two classes can have battles. You don't have to let the other car go unless you really want to. So good to see.
Yeah, it definitely is good to see, and an absolute stellar job. As you got Burgess, Babbage and Ficanto all involved in the order further down. We are going to be on the last lap of the race for the leaders. So there is the last lap of the race. The leaders are running through turn 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 currently. How Tom Weston doing? Tom Weston is here in 12th place. He is in the same position he started for the feature race, to be fair. McCain has just cleared Barnes again. Barnes is in the pits.
Oh.
Oh, dearie me.
Damage, maybe? On...
oh, dearie me.
That's the last
drive through.
Oh, yeah. I think he might have, because I think his... Yeah, no, his pit box was at the start. I could see the Triple P overalls. So he's had a drive-through penalty and was moved all the way down to P11. And yeah, it looks like he's going to come up P11.
Off tracks, do you reckon?
Yes, I think it's probably going to be... I'm not too sure. There were a couple of early instances where Barnes was in the background. I'm not too sure if he made contact on any of them. Obviously, if he did, that could be a 4X or sometimes a 2X. But I think the main thing could be some off tracks, maybe, you know, a bit too much tyre going over the rumble strips or even on the exit curbs of some of these corners. That might be what it is. You can see the Project 88 cars there, keeping it really tight between the rumble strips as it stands. So that could be maybe Barnes was using all the track and maybe a little bit too much in some of the corners. I'm not too sure.
Oh, poor blimey, governor. I thought that was going to end up not right there with Burgess and Babbage. Burgess went a little bit hot. What time is Weston doing? Weston's best time is a 2:17.50.
I think we're going to have to cut that short there because I think Fletcher's just come across in the pole position, and Thurtle's going to follow through in P2 just behind the Triple P back marker there, and good race overall for them too.
And here comes Werrell. He's going to take the win in the category, and it is Delaunay in third place there. A stellar job, as we have got Werrell out on turn 16, 17 and 18. The final finishing off now for the last lap here. And Werrell is going to take the AM victory after a close battle with Barnes. Barnes does still come out in second, but he must be thinking what might have been. What might have been.
I think when I talk to him after this, I think he will be kicking himself, but AMS, he still finished second. That's no different to where he was before in terms of the amateur group. So, very good result still for Barnes.
Yeah, Werrell comes across the line, leading in the AMS there. And then further down, here's the rush of all the cars coming over the line. Now we've got Barnesy, Crowther. Those guys are finished. So over the line they go. Absolutely stellar job from them here as well. And I think Chris Barnes is probably going to be kicking himself a little bit here as well as we wait for 4 final positions. Stuart Gibbons comes over the line. Stellar job from Stuart with Roger Morton there, picking up 5th in the AMS, up 5 places. Good job, Rog. Well done, buddy. And then we've got 2 Triple Ps of Williams and Rice. They're just coming around the final corners now.
They've had a very good close battle. They were like this where when we looked at them probably 10-20 minutes ago, so they've had a mighty fine battle this race.
And they definitely have, as they come over the line together in unison, the 2 Triple Ps. Good job. Jamie Dengle coming over the line with Chris Needham and Torno Oremets fighting out right way down to the line as well.
Others finished in the pit lane for that one. So
stellar job from everyone here in this feature race. We are just waiting for the results to come through, and then we will bring them up on the screen for you very, very shortly. There is nobody else to finish, I don't believe. Them has finished. Results, please. That would be nice. Results would be good about now. Somebody, them has finished. Waiting for Kevin Randall. Maybe the last one here. Kevin was out on track. I thought he'd finished. Deny and see where Kevin is at the moment. Oh no, 27th. He is the last one to finish in that Petronas Mercedes. Looks like he's had a bit of a rough one here. Seems like the practice paid off then. Yeah, it probably did for him. Done a good job, to be fair. And Randall comes over the line where the hold-up was. And over he comes in the GT4s. Good job there for you, sir, and you finished the race. Absolutely amazing. Right, now we can bring you up the results here from race 2. And it is Mark Fletcher in first place for Altitude Esports there, winning by 5.9 seconds over Arthur Thirdle. Cabernet Delaunay in third. Jack Werrell leading the AMs. The AM winner in third. In fourth. Alan McCain fifth. Mirko Ficanto sixth. Dan Babbage seventh. Ryan Burgess eighth. Arnold Chagnon ninth. Adam Hedgecott 10th. Tom Weston 11th. Chris Barnes second in the AMs with Derek Crowther in third there. And then behind that, we have got also Stuart Gibbons was in the mix there as well. And also Roger Morton, Rob Williams, and Stuart Rice. Stellar job from them guys. Behind that, we've got Jamie Dengle, Chris Needham, Torno Orametz, Ryan Dudley, Christopher Evans, Damien Hurst, Stefan Mendes, Andy Littler, Jordan Malcolm, and then Kevin Randall rounds out your 27th place here. And we can have a chat with the AM Victor here, the man who's took the checkered flag in the AMs, Mr. Jack Werrell. Good evening, Jack. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, thanks. I'm starting to cool down now. On a high, really, because I hadn't put as much time into the circuit as I think it deserved. But I've made a few changes with how I was driving in the car. Like I moved the camera around a little bit just to help my vision, so I could see the corners a little bit more. And it seemed to work really tonight. I felt fairly comfortable in the car. Race 1 went well, obviously P3 in class. It was a good battle throughout the race. It was a little bit of contact, a little bit scrappy. I've watched a couple of bits back and got my various opinions on those. But race 2, I couldn't have asked for anything more. Brilliant battle all race. I mean, my God, I was sick to the back teeth of Barnes being all over my tail. But honestly, look, like now it's all said and done. Absolutely brilliant race. I couldn't have wished for more from that. And it was firm but fair fighting. And I mean, I can't complain. That's 2 feature race wins from 2.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And Barnesy ended up with a drive-through, so left you there. And but it was absolutely an epic battle, Jack. And I think, to be honest, you had my vote a driver of the day. I'm not going to lie. You've done an absolutely stellar job. So I think me and Callum were both agreeing that you were driver of the day on that one, just purely because of the fact that you were mixing it up at the front end of that field. And when you went into the pits, the option of you just gaining places left and right was unbelievable, because there were so many people that haven't pitted in front of you, did Jack? Did you choose to go in that early?
It was sort of 12 of one and a half, no, 6 of one and a half a dozen of the other, really, because it was always running the risk of coming out in traffic. And I think that was the issue. I was deciding between, if I come out into traffic, I might lose a little bit of time, or am I going to keep losing time over Barnes? One of them's 100%. I'm going to keep losing time battling. One of them's 50-50. So I thought we'll go with the 50-50 option and see what happens. I gained an entire 2 tenths, I think, through the pit stop over Barnes, and then he was straight back on my tail again. But I think Chris deserved a lot more from that race. He drove the wheels off the Porsche, so hats off to him. Fair play. But it's just again pit strategy. It was a bit of a shot in the dark, but I sort of hoped it would come off, and I can't really wish for more from that.
Yeah, you definitely did there, Jack. Well, well done on your victory there, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Danny, who's been Danny and Marky were sort of watching over the race. Of course, Father Werrell, who's away gallivanting and is taking a week off, and Elle, who's watching at home, and of course you guys for putting on a great show as always.
Thank you very much, Jack, and we look forward to catching you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
Take care, bud. Right, let's have a chat with Arthur Ferdal, who finished second in race 1, second in race 2. Did you... Okay, I'm going to put it bluntly, if you don't mind, Mr. Ferdal, and I apologise before I even opened my mouth. Didn't quite have the pace of the man in front of you at the moment this evening.
I didn't know, but not at the start. So I had him for the race 2. I had him pegged for so much of it. At one point, I did get it down to 1.2.
Yep.
Very briefly, but no, he's so good. I wasn't helped. I couldn't see the corners. Every corner disappeared into the A pillar of the Aston, and I just couldn't see it. So I was struggling for a bit for consistency because I was turning in blind for 75% of the corners. But that Mark did an awesome job. He drove great again. Hopefully on another track, I'll have him one day.
Well, you say that, but it is you know how quick you are, you know how quick he is, you know what you're up against. You've just got to kind of go for it, haven't you? And I think, is there a track that's going to favour the Aston, you reckon?
I don't know. I think this one, if I only brought this track to do this race, and I did 5 laps before I went away this week, and I went away Monday, come back Tuesday, and then all my the only practice I've done and laps I'd done was on that practice session tonight before the race, and I was struggling. I was really struggling. I thought he was going to be pulling away half a second a lap, so I was quite happy. If it's a track I knew, if I'd raced this track before, I might have been able to get a bit closer. But he's a good driver, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, there, bud. Well, thank you so much, Arthur, for joining us in the booth there, mate. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
I'd like to shout out Mr. Mould for his words of encouragement through the races.
Good.
He was, last week he gave me some stick, but this week he was encouraging me.
Makes a change for Dan.
And also my teammate Alan McCain, because I haven't obviously watched it back, but he must have had an awesome recovery drive. He was P16 at one point, and he brought it home P5 or something. I think it was.
In class, yeah.
And so no, he had a phenomenal. That was a phenomenal recovery, and I think we might be leading the teams championship now. I don't know.
Well, they will be on the website very, very shortly. But Arthur, thank you so much for joining us, bud, and look forward to having a chat with you next week.
Yep, have a chat with you next week.
Take care, mate.
Cheers.
Right, let's have a chat. As he was bigged up by Arthur Ferdal, as he said, the man who comes back through the field and took 4th place overall, Mr. Alan McCain. Alan, how are you, sir?
Very good. A bit warm.
Oh, I bet. I bet you are. How was the evening for you overall?
Better than expected. That's all I can say. Other than we slip up in the first or second lap.
Yeah. What was it like battling through with all the drivers in front of you? Because it must have been tough, right?
It wasn't too bad. I got past a lot of them on whenever they were pitting, and then I just sort of tried to keep the head down, keep the consistent laps coming in, which seemed to help massively in the pit stop. Quickest pit stop tonight again by a second. So I must be doing something right in the fuel saving, which I never was really that good at.
Well, you absolutely nailed it tonight, sir. 4th overall in class. Well done for you. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Just yourselves for putting this league on and doing a wonderful broadcast.
Awesome stuff, Alan. Well, you take care,
and
bud.
My teammate Arthur.
And Arthur did shout you out, so I suppose you better repay the favour as well. But well done, Alan, and we'll look forward to having a chat with you next week, buddy.
Good job. Thank you.
Take care, mate.
Bye.
Right, and let's have a chat with the man that won race 2 as well as race 1, cements his place at the top of the standings, Mr. Mark Fletcher. Good evening, Mark.
Hello, me again.
Hello, mate. I ain't spoken to you for a while, have I?
I know, yeah, it's tough. yeah, what a race. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, you had Arthur closing you down. You got to get down to about 1.2. All right. I've had. Let's just put it this way. What are they going to have to do to stop you, Mark? Because you are flying at the moment for the first 2 races.
I think it's just the consistency that gets me there. Obviously, these guys can put a lap together. I'm worried when Jordan puts it on pole because me, Jordan, and Arthur are all so close. That gap stayed at like 1.8 for the whole race. Brian was like, I could do with a little bit more of a gap. I was like, mate, I cannot give you a bit more of a gap. So yeah, if they can get in front of me at the start, then yeah, it's going to be a good race. Or, as they've just said, if Brian doesn't do my fuel, I'd lose.
Right. You're not very good at doing your own fuel then?
No. Crew chief all day, every day.
Yeah, you and me both, mate, to be honest. But yeah, going forward though, Mark, we're going to be Spa next week. What do we reckon?
Spa's a track that I'm normally pretty good round. I don't like the place, but yeah, it should be another great week. The Aston was very fast round Spa and officials, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Arthur is next week. But yeah, onwards and upwards, see if we can make it 6 from 6.
Awesome stuff. Well, Mark, thanks so much for joining us there, bud. Anyone you shout out before we let you go?
Just the standard lot, all the attitude lot. Brian for obviously crewing for me. Sim stickers, Freem, Mr. Hedge, Finding Speed, JD Designs.
Right, awesome
That's
stuff.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
And you, obviously.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Well, I will see you Monday, dear sir, for the Clios.
You will indeed. Looking forward to it.
Have a good one, mate. I'm going to catch up with you soon.
Thanks, mate.
Take care.
See you soon.
Bye. Right, well, there you go, Callum. Sum it up for us here this evening. What sort of race have we had?
Well, I'd say it's definitely been on the edge of your seat for race 1 and the feature race, and we saw a lot of good battles out on track throughout both races, and everything was all really nice and tight in qualifying as well. There's a lot of close times out there. All in all, I mean, once again, it was just one of them nights where you can't say much bad about it. It flew, a few slips and trips here and there, but apart from that, which you get in every race, you can't complain at all. You can't say anything bad about it. Once again, fantastic stuff, obviously from the league runners. Obviously, yourself being one of them, and the others that are involved behind the scenes, and just another fantastic broadcast with another fantastic group of racers out on track.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much for that one here from Callum and from myself, guys. But now, as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.